And to be clear, the part that I'm objecting to is the fun of it. So I will argue if someone is saying or doing something that I think is objectionable, but like I don't enjoy it. I feel compelled to do it to maybe set it straight, but I don't enjoy it. Welcome to Discovering You, where personality meets possibility. I'm your host, Victoria Theriault. On this show, we dive deep into what makes people tick and how understanding that transforms the way we lead, work, and connect. Hi, listeners. Hi, Heather.
Hi there.
How are you? Where did you land on the mood meter today?
I'm good. I landed in blue today. Low energy, unpleasant. My word is tired. Feeling like you need rest.
Middle of the night with your dog, right? That'll do it.
Yeah. He's feeling better now, but it's been a few days where he hasn't felt great. So, how about you? Where did you land?
I am in the yellow and I got pleasant, which is feeling mostly positive. So I'm glad about that. I've had a couple of times recently, also in blue and actually the red, which was quite surprising for me. So yay.
Yeah, you've been out of the yellow for a while.
I know. Maybe it's spring or something.
It is nice to finally have some sun shining.
Agreed. Today, we're going to chat about the Big Five personality theory. But first, here's this month's DISC comparison. I am doing DISC as animals. For high D, it's cheetah, powerful and fast. High I is a meerkat, friendly and social. High S, elephant, great listeners and familial. And high C, raven, intelligent and methodical. Listeners, if you know your DISC profile, are you happy with your animal match? I think I am personally, because I guess mine is between an elephant and a raven. Heather, you're between
a cheetah and a raven. I like a raven.
Okay.
I don't think I'm very fast. Not in the way that a cheetah is fast.
No, but you work very fast, Heather. I think you are.
I'll take that.
Okay. Let's get into the Big Five personality theory, which has been around for quite some time. Its roots go back to the 1930s and 40s, not that long after DISC was created, which was 1928. The theory's been developed over the years, and the source material that I'm using comes from the Simply Psychology site. This is trait-based, which is like HPTI, the high potential trait indicator, which we discussed earlier this year. And of course, with this, we're looking at a continuum. It takes into account where your behavior falls on a spectrum. It's a high or a low range. I'm looking at this topic now as a lead-in because next time I'm doing an episode on a subject that some social scientists believe should be added to the Big Five. We've discussed it on here a lot. We've even done previous episodes. Can you guess what it is? Heather, I won't put you on the spot, but do you have thoughts?
I have a couple of thoughts.
Okay.
But I don't want to ruin the surprise.
I like it. Listeners, you'll find out next time. What are the Big Five personality traits? An easy way to remember them is by using the acronym OCEAN. For O, we have openness. C is conscientiousness. E is extraversion. A is agreeableness. And N is neuroticism. I feel like some of these words that are used from the early 1900s might need a rebrand, like neuroticism. I also feel that way actually in the DISC model about high D being called dominance. I have seen several people change it to directness, which definitely works as a descriptor too. Now, as we love to do, Heather and I did the assessment. And if you want to try it for yourself, you can take a free one on Truity. We'll link that in the show notes. But for now, here are some sample questions for you to consider as you listen. It's a 5-point scale ranging from inaccurate to accurate. 1 would be completely inaccurate, and a 5 would be completely accurate. Ready?
Ready.
First one. I am interested in the meaning of things. I said 5, completely accurate. I love a deep dive and a meaningful conversation. How about you?
So I said 3, neutral, because I like a meaningful conversation, but I don't necessarily need to understand the meaning of things from a philosophical standpoint. That's how I kind of took it.
Okay. I'm a little surprised by that.
How so?
Because I feel like you and I have had some pretty deep, meaningful conversations.
I don't disagree. Meaningful conversations, but I took it as the meaning of things, like the meaning of life. And I don't get super deep into that type of things.
Okay, that's fair.
That's all I've got.
That's all you need to have, Heather. Okay, the next one. I enjoy hearing new ideas. I answered 4, mostly accurate. I like looking at a situation or concept from different perspectives, which is probably why I enjoy my work as a facilitator. But I didn't say 5 because I think I have a limit, especially if I sense that the other person is trying to push an agenda or be argumentative just for the sake of it. What about you, Heather?
I picked 5. I like new ideas. I get bored pretty easy. And so I'm always coming up with new ideas.
Yeah, I can see that for you. And then the next one is I believe in the importance of art. I answered 4 on this one. I definitely value the role that it plays in inspiring and expanding our viewpoints. And I think it brings much needed joy and laughter and beauty into the world. And I don't think this question is intended to be too literal. For instance, art, like painting. I don't think it's that. I think it's music and books and movies. What about you?
So I said 3 neutral again, but I took it more literally, like art. I don't go to museums. I don't understand art.
I knew you were going to take it literally.
It's not saying it's not important. And more so books and music and things like that,
Yeah.
I would have probably gone higher.
Right. So these questions were probing for levels of openness, which is the first of the 5 traits. It's looking at openness to experience. This trait reflects a person's level of imagination, curiosity, intellectual depth, and preference for variety. Those who score high typically enjoy novelty, abstract thinking, and art. They like to explore new ideas and unconventional, out-of-the-box thinking. People with lower scores prefer routine and tradition and practicality. And of course, as with most things, there are positives to our lows and there's challenges with our highs. There are definitely situations and jobs where these low descriptors are necessary. The higher scores are associated with greater creative thinking and innovation. And research has shown that there's a strong correlation between high openness and entrepreneurs. So I guess that makes sense for us, Heather, because we both scored high in the openness trait. This one was my highest. I got 90.
Oh, wow.
I know. And this was your second highest at 67. Okay, the second of the 5 is conscientiousness. And here are some questions from the assessment to gauge this one. I always make good use of my time. I answered 4, mostly accurate. Why are you laughing, Heather?
I answered 5.
I knew it.
I'm laughing at myself. I like to be efficient with my time.
Yes, you do. See, that was going back to the cheetah. You said, I don't know that I'm fast. Look at that. Yes, you are.
I don't know that that's fast as efficient. I think they're 2 different things. But
no, you work fast.
I don't disagree, but I think fast and efficient are 2 different things.
Okay, the next one is I find it difficult to get to work. I said 2, which means mostly inaccurate, but not completely. So I think it's depending on the task at hand. There are times when I think it's a challenge to get going on it if it feels daunting or I'm not maybe sure about how I'm going to go about it. So that's why I said 2. Heather, I'm going to guess you said 1, completely inaccurate.
I said 1, completely inaccurate.
Yep.
Getting to work is like the easiest thing in my life.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the other thing. Getting to work for work as opposed to like getting to work at the gym. It's definitely 1, inaccurate.
I feel like this one's really funny timing wise because the next one is it's important to me that people are on time. Guys, I was a minute or 2 minutes late. So what do we think is going to happen here? For me, I answered between 3 or 4, basically neutral to mostly accurate. Obviously, I want people to be on time. Heather and I talked about this before. And Heather, I'm sure you answered 5 on this one. We won't rehash the complete conversation, but Heather and I had a whole 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late debate. I guess if I'm like, let's say I'm on a Zoom and I'm waiting, I don't start to really sweat it until it gets to like 4 or 5 minutes past. Like, I'm not worried. And then if it's at that point, then I would send a message just to be like, hey, is everything okay? Do you have the link or, what have you? I'm not going to sweat that. But but Heather was worried because it was 11 to 1.
I think for me, it's because I've booked my day.
Yes.
But then also there's a second layer because typically if I'm waiting like on a Zoom, I'm producing a show, there's a guest, there's a host,
Yeah.
so it's other people's calendars too. And if one person's 5 minutes late and the other person has to leave 10 minutes early, then all of a sudden an hour turns into
Totally. Yep.
coordinating that. But
even in personal life, right? If you're meeting somebody for lunch at the time, like you're expecting they're going to.
if you're 1 minute late, I'm not going to say anything at lunch.
Yeah.
Like I know now when we meet for lunch, normally I would show up 15 minutes early, but now I just don't because you're not going to be there. And so unless I'm worried about parking or something, I am not. So I do have more flexibility in that when it's not work.
Conscientiousness is described as a person's tendency toward self-discipline, organization, and goal-directed behavior. Words like competent and dutiful describe this one. Having a high score in this suggests hardworking and reliable individual, and lower scores represent more spontaneous and flexible behaviors and maybe perhaps prone to procrastination. Of the 5 traits, conscientiousness is the biggest predictor of job performance. And this is consistent with what we learned when we did the high potential trait index, which also showed this correlation between conscientiousness and leadership success. Interestingly, again, our conscientiousness scores on this one are similar to how they came out on the HPTI assessment. So as a reminder, I scored moderate on conscientiousness on that one, and Heather scored excessive, which she interpreted as winning. So this one is super high for you, Heather. It's obviously your highest of the big 5. You got 98%. I guess you're still excessive and winning.
I'm okay with it.
I know you are. And I'm still moderately high at 71%. Moving on to the next one. E is for extraversion. And here are some of the questions from the quiz. I am the life of the party. Nope. I picked 2, mostly inaccurate. I'm going to guess you have a similar answer.
Yeah, I also picked 2, mostly inaccurate.
I feel comfortable around people. This one is tough to answer because I think it really depends on the scenario. I answered 3, which is neutral. And this gets right to the core of the whole introversion, extroversion topic. If I'm having like a meaningful conversation with somebody really connecting, then yes, I love it. But if I'm surrounded by a lot of people and I have to make small talk, definitely not. What did you pick?
I had the same thought as you. So I picked 3. And I think as I get older, I think there was a time it was probably 2 or 1. But now it depends on the situation. Like you said, I'm not comfortable walking into a room of people I don't know, but I interact with people all day that I don't know, and I'm getting more comfortable doing that.
Right.
So I'm on 3.
Okay. Next is I would describe myself as outgoing. I think this is really an extension of what I just said. I'm giving myself a 2 here, mostly inaccurate. Heather?
Also 2.
Yeah. I think this is another subject that we've discussed a lot here. So I'll be brief. Extroversion is indicating how social, talkative, energetic, and assertive a person is. It's encompassing their level of engagement with the outside world. Extroverts get charged up by interacting with others in social settings, whereas introverts need some quiet and alone time to recharge their batteries. And many of us are ambiverts, so we enjoy some of the socializing, but we need the downtime to replenish our energy. And I think this is often misunderstood. I've said it in a different way, but I think if you really hear this, it's not that introverts don't like people or social interactions, it's that it makes them tired. So I think if you just think about it that way, right? It's literally just charging that battery back up. Heather, you and I are lockstep on this one. You're at 40% and I'm at 44%. And this is my lowest of the 5, which brings us to the 4th one, which is agreeableness. If you're a longtime listener, episode 10 was all about agreeableness. So if this one piques your interest, you can check that out. Agreeableness refers to how people tend to treat relationships with others. It measures a person's orientation towards compassion, cooperativeness, kindness, and trustworthiness. It's linked to being empathetic and helpful, while low agreeableness is associated with being more competitive, skeptical, and focused on self-interest. Low agreeableness is referred to as antagonism. Here are the statements that we use to score our levels of agreeableness. I take care of other people before taking care of myself. I was going to say 4, but in reality, it's probably 5. Completely inaccurate. And yes, I know the whole analogy about putting on your own oxygen mask first. I try. Sometimes I'm better than others. It's a work in progress. Heather?
I give myself a 3. I would put clients' work ahead of my.
Yes.
There's a level there that I would do it, but it's not innate like the way it is for you.
Exactly.
But I do think there's a small portion that I put people ahead of my own.
I see that work-wise for sure.
So I went with 3.
Okay, the next one. I start arguments just for the fun of it. Ugh, definitely not. 1, maybe 2. And to be clear, the part that I'm objecting to is the fun of it. So I will argue if someone is saying or doing something that I think is objectionable, but I don't enjoy it. I feel compelled to do it to maybe set it straight, but I don't enjoy it. There are some people in my life, though, that do enjoy this, and I've seen them stir things up for entertainment value. You're probably listening and you know who you are. How about you?
I picked 1. I don't like arguing. I don't like it even if I think it's probably the right thing to do. I don't think it's fun. 1. 100%.
I accept people the way they are. This one has changed fairly dramatically for me, from where I started as a young person to where I am now. I answered 4, mostly accurate. And by saying this, it doesn't mean that people can't change, or as I prefer to say, evolve. They can. I know I have, and I've seen others do it. And I really do think that's kind of the purpose in our lives, is to sort of learn and grow and evolve. But if we use DISC as an example, a high D is going to be a high D. Can they work at softening some of those edges or trying a less direct approach? Sure. They're still going to have that drive to achieve and that goal orientation and see things differently than a low D. For me, understanding where the behavior comes from has been so helpful. It's helpful to learn to accept people as they are. And then, of course, there's the next step about finding some common ground or find ways to connect so that all parties are seen and heard. Also, let me be clear, this does not mean it's okay to accept continuous bad or hurtful behavior from someone. Heather, what did you say?
I picked 3. I feel like in this scale, I was sort of either on the extremes or in the middle for most of my answers. But same thing. As I get older, I have a lot more acceptance that people are the way they are. But I also have more of a I'll take it or leave it attitude where I'm like, they can be who they are, but I don't have to interact with them.
Right.
So I think there's a level there that I maybe didn't have when I was younger.
Yes. A point of interest on agreeableness in the workplace is that high levels of it predict better job performance where teamwork is involved, but it's negatively related to individual proactivity. And I guess this makes sense. So if you're considering all the moving parts of a team and making sure that the needs are met before doing your own thing, you can see that maybe then your own personal productivity or what have you might go down. So I think that adds up. I scored 79 on this one, making it my second highest. And Heather, you got 52%. So right kind of in the middle. I don't know. It sort of seems like you have the ability to go either way with this one. Do you see that playing out in your life?
I hadn't really thought about it until when you said building a team. Like my productivity has gone down as the team grows because I'm doing less actual things.
Right. Well, now we are at the 5th and final trait of the big 5, neuroticism. What a name. Hence my suggestion for a rebrand. Yikes. It describes the overall emotional stability of a person through how they perceive the world. People who are high in neuroticism are more prone to worry or stress, and they experience anxiety more frequently. Those who are lower in this are generally calmer and feel more secure and resilient when facing challenges. People who are high in it tend to be more self-conscious and shy versus those who are lower who are more confident. Let's get to the questions and see how we answered. First one, I rarely feel blue. I disagree. I was torn between neutral and mostly inaccurate. So 2 or 3. What about you?
I picked 2, although actually literally I'm blue on the mood meter today, but I don't typically get down. Like I can power through or see some positive to it. So I picked 2.
Okay. Next one. I would use the word shy to describe myself. My gut reaction is to say yes. And people are often surprised by this because I do public speaking. But because that's purpose driven and planned, it's not the same as casual schmoozing. So I answered 2, mostly accurate. How about you?
In my youth, like as a kid, I would have been 5 all day long. But I think now I don't want to say shy. I would say like 3. Again, sort of neutral.
Yep. The next one. I often feel anxious about what could go wrong. Yes. Check all the time. Completely accurate. Definitely 5. As a child, I can remember several people in my life referring to me as a worrywart. And while it may have evolved in adulthood, I consider worry to be my love language. If I care about you, I'm going to worry about you. And to put a finer point on it, worry is my full-time job. This is just my side hustle. I wish I was kidding, guys. Heather?
I give myself a 4. But again, I'm better than I used to be.
Okay.
I don't so much worry about myself, like things that could go wrong for me, but I worry about like the animals and like all the things that way. So I am better in that I don't walk around with anxiety right under the surface.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
I think you're doing a heck of a lot better than me because this was your lowest of the 5. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Whereas this was my 3rd highest. Oops. Not a surprise though. Okay, work-wise, those who score high in neuroticism experience more work-related stress and higher risk of burnout, which is not surprising, right? Now, do you ever wonder why we have these patterns of behavior, right? So why do some of us have these and some of us don't? And the source material that I used looked at the possible adaptive reasons from an evolutionary standpoint, which I find fascinating. The theory behind these traits evolved as adaptive responses from our ancestors. So different trait levels brought survival advantages in different environments. For example, high agreeableness could have fostered cooperation and group cohesion, and high conscientiousness may have supported long-term planning for scarce resources. So Heather would have been all over that one with her 98%. Extraversion may have helped in mate selection and alliance building. So I guess we were not going to be great at that, Heather. Whereas moderate levels of neuroticism could have promoted vigilance and caution in risky environments. Hello, I guess I was the point guard on that. And openness may have encouraged exploration, creativity, and adaptability when faced with changing ecological demands, which we both were good at, I guess. I love seeing it explained like this.
It's an interesting picture it paints.
Remember, you can try this quiz for yourself at Truity, and we will link it in the show notes. I want you to take a guess at what you think the trait some social scientists believe should be added to these 5, and you'll find out next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for joining us. Catch you next time. This show is a Twisted Spur media production produced by our very own Heather McPherson. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.